Hi, good morning, everyone. Well, firstly, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today on this webinar. Today, I will be discussing MYOB Advanced, in particular, how you can save costs and manage your inventory. Now, I ran a few webinars around the general functionality, some of the distribution features, and also the mobile warehouse management functionality a few months ago. And if you're interested in seeing some of the more day-to-day user experience features, please head over to our website or our YouTube channel, and you can access all of the recordings from there. Just by way of introduction, I am Juanita Potgieter and I head up marketing and engagement here at Verde, and I will be your host for today. So this webinar should be around 30 minutes today, and I'll start by giving you a quick overview of MYOB and highlight some of the key features, and then we'll get right into the product. We'll do a little bit of a demo overview, and towards the end, we'll have some time for questions and answers. However, you don't have to wait until the end for your questions. You can pop them into the chat window, and I will try and answer all of them towards the end. But if I do not get to your question, I will get back to each one of you individually afterwards. Now, MYOB, just a bit of a brief overview on where they're at with their enterprise solutions. As we know, MYOB really, they're an ANZ specialist and have been for over 30 years. They've been developing and supporting businesses in our local market. But you probably already know MYOB for their accounting software for smaller businesses. But MYOB actually support over 11,000 mid-market customers across their ERP, payroll, and workforce management products, with over 4,000 customers already using their ERP products to power their businesses. This means they manage around $11 billion in transactional revenue generated from businesses every month. Further to that, they have over 65,000 people using their ERP products every day of the week, and a huge 1.3 million employees are paid through their MYOB ERP software. Now, Advanced is just one of the ERP solutions in their portfolio. Advance is a cloud-based business management solution tailored for the mid-sized organizations, and it's a single unified platform. It delivers finance, inventory management, manufacturing, construction, field services, payroll, and workforce management functionality. It was built for the cloud and for the mobile workforce. So it runs on any device using a browser. It has a responsive, also called adaptive design, meaning that the screen resizes based on the device that you're using. Now, as mentioned, today I will be discussing how you can save costs and manage your inventory with MYOB Advanced. And from our experience, we tend to see three common challenges that our customers are facing. Firstly, cost control. Now, in times past, wholesaling meant that smaller businesses could access price economies of scale. The role of the wholesaler was to bulk buy and then distribute smaller inventories to businesses at a price that they couldn't otherwise access. But with the cost of storage and logistics continuing to rise, it's more challenging than ever for wholesalers to cover their costs to remain competitive. So they often resort to absorbing these increased operational costs and avoid passing them on to their customers, which ultimately results in a smaller margin to the wholesaler. The next challenge, of course, competition. So, aside from competing with similar businesses for exclusive agreements or additional services, wholesale distribution companies are often competing with a very different landscape of business to business supply models. As well as this, more manufacturers are actually choosing to move away from wholesalers and choose a direct customer model. And finally, the bar for customer expectations continue to rise. Business to business customers demand a business to customer experience with greater visibility on orders, wanting to order online, and the ability to self serve. It's never been more important to Cultivate a great relationship with your customers. We can all agree that it takes leadership and teamwork to succeed, and modern cloud technology can play a major part in achieving the success. Now, at the center of all these challenges is the critical factor of stock control. Your business needs to have the right inventory in the right quantity, in the right place, at the right price, at the right time, servicing the right customers. That's a lot of rights to maintain within its core functionality. Now, cloud technology like ERP can help you address the key pillars of stock control that allow you to control costs, become more competitive, and serve your customers well. Advanced inventory management capabilities allow you to efficiently manage your processes across multiple warehouses in multiple currencies. Automated stock control means you don't have to manually enter information into multiple systems or spreadsheets, helping you avoid data entry errors that can lead to unnecessary costs. Sales orders are managed centrally, so you can fulfill sales orders, enter quotes, create shipments, apply discounts, track prices, and check inventory all in one place. And you can automate and centrally manage your purchasing processes from procurement through to quotes and invoice payments. And use stock level and inventory replenishment algorithms to generate purchase orders as required. But perhaps even more importantly is the ability to bring together your warehouse and back office teams. To compete, distribution really takes a team. That's why robust systems and technology that allows them to be able to collaborate seamlessly is so important. Sales and service staff must have easy access to all customer information and have the ability to quickly look up product options and pricing for fast order management. You want your purchasing departments to be able to optimize inventory, purchase orders, and inbound freight to ensure high availability at low cost. The warehousing and shipping teams need to have accurate location data as well as barcode and RFID technology for faster pick, pack, and ship operations. They also need the flexibility to add services such as kitting. You want your field service teams to have flexible tools for managing customers and service staff. They also need to have the ability to access maps and routes and to be able to resolve customer emergency calls quickly and efficiently. Plus, your reporting and analytics must cover all of the areas of your business and all of the areas of your responsibility, no matter where you are, anytime, anywhere. And all this is possible with cloud technology solutions. With a cloud ERP, employees will have full access to their work resources on any device from whenever they are. Everyone has access to up to date information, connecting your teams, streamlining processes, and avoiding bottlenecks. It also means you have access to real time data and analytics, allowing you to respond quickly to changing demands and issues. And whilst we're talking about warehousing and distribution in general, we know that each business is unique and these differences can be your competitive advantage. Now, MYOB is easily configurable and has built on integrations with integrated software vendors or third party apps, giving you a scalable system that grows with your business. This is easily customizable to cater for your specific needs and your requirements. Now, unfortunately, I don't have time to go through every one of the features today, but I will be covering a reasonable amount inside the demo that we'll get into. Now, if you have any questions about the platform, as we're going through now, please use the Q&A box just as a reminder, and I'll do my best to answer all your questions that come through. Now, onto the good stuff. I'm going to just switch over here and run through a product demo now. Great, so here we go. Welcome to MYOB Advanced. So when you log into the product, you get taken straight into your home dashboards. Now, dashboards play a really critical part in the system because they really help you to focus on what is important for your particular role within the business. So dashboards are specific to your division or to an individual user. So in this particular case, I'm sitting looking at my company dashboard, which is predominantly sales focused, where I can see my opportunities. I can see a whole lot of details around what's coming through inside my business. However, if I am someone that is responsible for the warehouse or responsible for order management, I might want to see a different dashboard, which has more relevant information. So here I have a dashboard which is specifically more focused around sales orders and my purchase orders. So I can see purchase orders that are ready to be received, that needs to be receipted. I can see sales orders that need to be shipped. Along the top here, I've got a number of different KPIs that I'm tracking and monitoring, and using the standard traffic light analysis, I can see what's going well. I can see the areas that I need to be concerned with. I can see areas that I have that I need to really take focus on. And what is important to understand is that whilst we provide you with a number of standard dashboards, it's really up to you to be able to tailor the dashboards to meet the specifics of your particular company. So you can change all of these dashboards. You can define what the parameters are for the dashboards, what should be green, yellow, or red. You can add new components to your dashboards if you want to, and those components could be charts, data tables, it could be websites, anything along those lines. But dashboards really have the ability to help you focus and concentrate on what is important for your particular business. So let's get into some focused areas for wholesale distribution. So let's start on the inventory items because inventory is really the core of a lot of the processes in the system. So what we've just done is I've gone into my inventory menu item and into the workspace. Now, a couple of things to be aware of to begin with. The menu items that you see down here are again relevant to what you're doing inside the system. So if you have no involvement in finance or if you have no involvement in services, you won't see any of those items on your menu. You will only see the things that are relevant to what you are doing. And likewise, once I'm inside the workspace, I see a whole lot of different menu items inside here. Again, if they're not relevant to your business or not relevant to the role you play within the business, you won't see those on your screen. So you can really tailor and personalize the system to be able to reflect what is most important for your particular needs. So what we do from here is I'm going to jump into our main stock item screen. Now, as with a lot of things, you will go into your grid where you see a whole big listing of items. A couple of things that you need to be aware of inside here is that, first of all, you've got a wide range of searching options. So if I just come into here, for example, and I type in the search BR, the system is going to look across all of the columns inside my screen to try and do a partial match of that information. So it helps me to be able to find information when I don't necessarily know a lot about it. At the same time, however, if I want to be very specific in where I'm searching, for example, I know that I want to search on the description for something that's got to do with a 32-inch screen or something along those lines, I can come into a particular column and have the system search within that particular field. And from there, from that, I get back down to the information I'm looking for. So the system caters for you to be able to find information really easily, even if you don't know a lot about it. Let me just clear this particular filter away. At the same time, you'll see along the top here, there's a number of tabs. I can also do predefined filters to be able to see information that I might use on a regular basis. So here I've filtered on all items that are finished goods. Here I've got a tab that lists all items that are serial tracked and all items that may be part kit of kits. Now, these filters can be specific to an individual user, or it can be made available throughout the company. So once again, tailoring the system to meet your particular needs to really drive efficiency in the way you are working. So now let's jump through into a specific inventory item. And once again, you obviously will get a lot of information. There's a lot to track relating to inventory, so I'm not going to try and go through every single piece today. But there are a couple of key things that I do want to touch on. To start off with, we go into our item class. Now, the ability to group and categorize inventory is really important because it helps you from a reporting and analysis standpoint. It helps you to do promotional pricing, for example. So within your inventory, you can use your item class, which is a tree type structure, to really be able to define your grouping structure for that particular inventory item. Another key item is around your serial number tracking. So you can choose on an inventory item by item basis whether or not you track the serial number or the lots or batch numbers associated to the item. And you can also then choose how detailed you want the tracking to be. Now, this is really important for certain product items. So with food items or pharmaceutical items where you need to be able to track your batches or your lots. You can see when you bought it, who you bought it from, who you sold all of the items inside their batch to, when you sold it, and you've got that full back end tracking of your product, as well as being able to identify expiry dates and things along those lines for your batches with serial tracked items. Again, you can see when you bought it, who you sold it to, and with serial tracked items, there's generally a level of warranty and potentially ongoing maintenance associated with those products. And so, with that, you can then link into the service management functionality to be able to really track that ongoing service with your customers, which gives you the ability to be able to do your upsells on your different services and maintenance options. So that's some key items around the structure of your item. You also have the ability to be able to configure how often you want to be able to track and do your physical inventory counts. Now, at the same time, different inventory items may have different requirements. High value, high turnover items, you might want to be able to do those counts more frequently, so you can set them up for a particular frequency of counting, whereas lower value, lower turnover items, you might want to do less frequently. So again, you can choose and control that however you want based on your particular needs for those items. If we touch on the pricing and the costing, which is always a key area, we can obviously control the basic details around some of the pricing as well as the essential markups and margins, etc. But we can also go a lot more detailed in terms of how we manage pricing. So if I jump through into our sales price worksheet over here, at the moment, I'm just looking at one particular inventory item, but I could also change it and view it across a whole group of items or a whole class of items. So for this particular inventory item, I've set up a base price of $408. I've also got a quantity break that if they buy more than 5, they get it at $350 each. I can also set up pricing rules for a particular customer so that a particular customer gets a price or a particular group of customers get a specific price associated to them. I can also track effective dates for those prices. So if I want to start doing a promotion for a group for a specific product category, I can set up all those promotional prices in advance, as well as the expiry of when those prices end, so that I can get everything prepared. And as the time arrives, they automatically kick in when we start applying those particular promotional prices. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to be able to control how you want to be able to do your pricing. So if we move along to a couple of other key areas, so touching on warehouse, I've only got one warehouse that is linked to this particular item. You can have as many different warehouses as you want, and within those warehouses, you can go down to specific bin locations. So then I can see exactly which bin location my inventory item is, what's on hand, what my availability is like. So all of these are really key to being able to quickly and easily establish what's happening with your inventory. One of the other key ones I want to touch on is these attributes. Now, these attributes are just additional pieces of information that you can apply to your product. So I've got a few. I've got two images here of this particular product item. The key area here is that this all links in with the e-commerce integration. So there's a native e-commerce integration within Advanced where the system integrates into a variety of e-commerce solutions such as Shopify and BigCommerce. Now, the whole structure of the way it works is that you only want to have to manage our inventory in one place. So you can drive all of the management of your inventory from Advanced, where you can put in all the images, you can put in related items associated to this product, you can put in details and descriptions around this product, and all of that will then go through and be applied to your e-commerce site. So it will upload those images, it will put through the descriptions, it will provide all the links to cross-referenced items or related items, and all of that management is done within Advanced. And obviously coming back from your e-commerce site, you will get all of the orders that are placed and the customer details as they come through. So it gives you a really powerful way to have a central place to be able to manage everything and cut the cost of the manual integration and cut the error rate as you move between two systems. So those are some of the key items in terms of inventory and how you track your inventory. Another key area is all around your replenishment. So again, this can be done on an item by item basis or for a category of items where you can define some of the criteria around your replenishment. So for this particular item, it's a purchase item. I have defined that there's no seasonality to the sale of this. So what the system allows you to be able to do is set up seasonality. So higher sales towards Christmas or in the summer months, winter months, etc. You can build in that seasonality. And I'll show you shortly inside the replenishment calculator how the system will take that to be able to actually give you recommendations around your purchasing. So again, there's a lot of information, a lot more information that we can track against the inventory item. I'm not going to be able to go through all of this right at the moment, but if I jump back into our inventory space, as I mentioned earlier on, we've gone in and we've seen a whole lot of stock item details. Now, that's all great if you've got time to go in and have a look around for that. We've also got the ability to be able to drive all of this via a barcode scanner. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a barcode scanner linked up today that I can show easily inside this webinar, but what the system allows you to be able to do through these automated operations is drive all of your information retrieval and processing directly through barcode scanning. So with the barcode scanner, I can look up an item which is going to show me all of my inventory information for a particular warehouse. So the whole idea is that I have a kiosk or I have a terminal where the staff member can go and scan a barcode over an item and they'll see all of the information they need. You can drive all of your transfers, stock accounts, receive product receipts, etc., all through barcode scanning, which really helps drive that efficiency inside your processing. In terms of cost management and allowing you to ensure that you've got the right inventory for your customers, we then have our replenishment. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier on when we were looking inside the stock items. So inside here, what I've done is that we've got where we're looking at the replenishment for our one warehouse, and then the system has gone through looking based on the purchase date to see what inventory items we should be recommending that we should be buying. So what the system is doing here, it looks through all of the inventory items, it looks through at that seasonality factor, it looks at the inventory on hand, it looks at purchase orders that are inside the system already, it looks at the sales orders that are in, that are available, and it gives you a recommendation on what to do. So it's giving us the recommendation to do some purchasing. We've identified who the preferred supplier is for these particular items, and then from there, I can go through, process that, and the system will go and create all of the relevant purchase orders for me. And so that really helps you to be able to drive that efficiency and being able to ensure that you've got the right inventory for your customers at the right time. So we've been focusing on inventory details, but let's take a look at the sales side of things. Sales can start from a number of different places. I mentioned to you inside the system earlier on the e-commerce integration, so I'm not going to focus on the e-commerce side of things at this point in time, but what we do have is the ability to be able to start the process, if you want, all the way through at the opportunity stage. So this can really support your sales team to be able to monitor their pipeline and know what's coming through from a reporting and analysis perspective. So from here, I can go through, I can open up more opportunities. I get a list of all our opportunities, and I'm going to drill into one. Again, the grid that you see here, as we spoke about earlier on, it's really up to you. You can configure and structure it however you want. But if I go into this particular opportunity, I can start building up all of the activities that need to be done. So I can have tasks that need to be done. I can track all of the emails that are sent relating to this opportunity. So I can get a full history of everything associated to the interactions with this opportunity. From here, I can also add in what it is the customers say they're interested in buying, so we can identify those products and then from there ultimately generate a quote to the customer. Now, I talk about a customer, but it could also be a prospect at this point in time as well. So I can create the prospect and create a quote for them, and from here I can email the quote off to them and I can then track what happens to it. Ultimately, with the quote, with the opportunity, ideally we win the work and we can then progress and we can generate a sales order directly from that quote. So I've already done that in the background. So I've got the sales order that is associated to that quote that we've just seen. And that's another key thing around this. So as we look through this opportunity, we're seeing everything in one consolidated place. We're seeing all of the orders, we're seeing all of the quotes, we're seeing the invoice that was generated. So we've got a complete holistic picture of what has happened. Now, from here, I could jump directly into the sales order and drill through, but right now I'm going to just jump into our sales order workspace. So again, as I come across into our sales order workspace, I can see all of the different processes, reports, etc. that are available. And again, as I reminded you earlier on, this is all tailored to your particular responsibility. So if things are not relevant, then you won't see them inside the system. From here, I'm going to jump into our sales orders now. From here, I'm going to jump into our sales order now that I touched on during the opportunity screen. A lot of the time, you may not need the opportunity process, so you can always create a sales order directly. Now, the sales orders can also come through from our customer portal. So within Advance, you also have the ability to have a customer portal where your customers can log in and they can create their own sales orders inside there, which will feed through into the system. So you can see them and process them further. Likewise, if you've got an e-commerce site, those e-commerce orders that are created inside the site would flow through into this space. So this space really gives you a very holistic and consolidated view of all the orders that are happening inside your company. For now, I'm going to jump into that order that relates to the opportunity we were looking at earlier. And as you'd expect, there's a whole lot of information associated with this order. Now, first things first, you'll see I've got a little yellow exclamation mark over here, which is giving me a warning. And this particular warning is that the minimum gross profit has not been satisfied for this item. So this is where you can set up all these little rules so that the people who are doing the processing of the orders are aware of an issue or a concern, and you can go so far as to decide whether or not you want to allow the sales order to process or whether it needs to be forced to stop. So you've got those sorts of controls at this point in time. We haven't put those controls on, so I can go ahead and process the sales order if I want to. Now you'll see at the bottom of the screen over here, I've got the quick, easy access of availability of inventory. So I can see exactly what inventory is on hand so that I can carry on processing this order if I choose to. Now, these particular items are not serial tracked, but if they were serial number tracked, I could actually go ahead and allocate a particular serial number to the line or to the sales order right now. Now, that's happening before I've even gone through and started dispatching their item if I want to. That could be really beneficial because in this particular case where we have got this warning to say that the gross profit requirement is not satisfied, it might be because one of the items that I'm selling here is floor stock or has a slight piece of damage to the item. And so I want to make sure that I'm sending the correct item when I do the dispatch so I can pre-allocate my serial numbers to that particular line so that I'm ensuring the right item is being sent for the price that I've quoted them. At the same time, different product items can also have different dimensions to them. So at the moment, we've been talking about items that are pretty discrete. We may have items that have dimensions such as color, size, or style associated to them. And so this is where we have our matrix entry screen. So with our matrix entry screen, you can go through and t-shirts or shirts or the apparel. Apparel is the most common sort of scenario. So I've got my t-shirt set up over here and I can choose a particular type of t-shirt that I want to work with. So I've got my polo neck shirt here and straight away I now have a matrix entry grid to make it easier and quicker to be able to see which options are available for this particular type of item. So here I can see the different sizes that have been configured and what colors are available. So for this particular shirt, we can have blue and brown, but we can't have black. And so from here, I can, instead of going through and entering into individual items, I can just go through and choose whichever ones I want. And then if I had to go through and add that to the sales order, it would go and translate that back into the inventory items behind this. But it just provides me a more quick, efficient way of being able to add those items with different dimensions and see which options are available. Now, I'm not going to add that for the moment, so I'm going to cancel that one out, and that takes us back to our sales order. Now, if we look at the overall sales order process, I've got my sales order here. The next step in the process is once I've finalized this order, the next step is then to actually ship the goods off to the customer. Now, the one key thing with wholesale distribution is that sales order processing varies all the time. There are different requirements that always come up, and we need to be able to support those different options. So, with sales order processing, you can process one sale order at a time, or you can process a batch of sales orders. So, in this particular situation, I'm in a particular sales order. I'm going to process this order. I can then go through and choose how I want to do it. The standard sales order process goes from the sales order through to a shipment in through to an AR invoice. Now, I can have multiple shipments to one sales order, and those shipments can then be consolidated into one invoice, or I can have multiple invoices. You have the flexibility around this. So if I go through and I take this particular sales order, I can go through and create the shipment, and I can do this in a step-by-step process, which is really beneficial if you've got multiple people processing the sales order, or if you have different steps that you need to do. So it's part of the shipment, and you might need to choose the packaging or um, box it in different ways, or have different ways of freighting it. So that's the step-by-step process that allows you to be able to support those different requirements. However, if I just want to process this, there's nothing else, no other interaction or intervention I need to do, we also have our quick process. And this allows me to decide, what do I want the system to do for me? I want it to be able to go through and create the shipment or create an invoice, and I want to email the invoice off to the customer at the same time. It's giving me a warning at the moment because I don't actually have an email address associated to this customer, but I could then go through, process that, and it's just going to do all of that processing for me in the background. So again, depending on the level of interaction and the steps that you need to do, you can have different ways of processing sales orders to drive that efficiency. But at the same time, as I was saying, that was processing a sales order one at a time. If we go back into our main sales order workspace, I've got our process sales order screen here, which allows me to do all that processing in bulk. So here I can see a number of different sales orders that need shipments created. I want to select it by shipment date between these days, and now I can go through and choose to process all of those in one go, and it's going to again go through and create all of the shipments, which will then pop up on the dashboards of the warehouse, and for them to go through and pick all of those items. Now, this process can also be scheduled to run on a regular basis. So instead of someone having to come in here and do this, you can just have the system schedule this to run these every hour, every half an hour, however frequently you choose, so that it automatically happens in the background for you. And again, that's all part of driving efficiency inside the process. And so just going back onto our menu items again, we've got our automated operations. So the whole warehouse management pick, pack, ship process can all be done through barcode scanning associated to that. So again, as you can see, there's a lot to the product, and there's a lot more than I can take you through today. If I click on more items here, you'll see that there's a huge number, an amount of functionality in the product. And this is the beauty of advanced, and that it really allows you to be able to grow. You can grow with the system as you need more. The system can support you and cater for you and cater for that increased growth. I haven't touched on the marketing elements, for example, where you can start using the sales information that you're generating to be able to try and do more upsells with your customer and promote cross business with your customers. I haven't touched on the service management, where you may have after sales service or service level agreements that you wanted to help maintain with your customers. We can automate that and track all of those different requirements. And so the key really is that the product has the ability to be able to support all of your business operations across the scope of your requirements and help you to be able to grow effectively, efficiently, and really cost effectively. Now, I've seen quite a lot of questions that have come through over the course of this demo. So I don't know if I'll get to all of them, but as I said, I will get back to each one of you after the webinar today. I'm just looking at some of the first ones that's popped in here, and the first one here is, how can landed costs be allocated to inventory? Right, so landed cost is always a really important aspect. So calculating landed cost and say critical to being able to identify the true value of the inventory. So landed cost, you can take into account the cost of freight, transport, insurance, custom fees, and a number of other additional costs that you may incur and bring into your product. So with Advanced, you have the ability to allocate those costs in one of four different ways. So by volume of product, by weight of the product, by cost of the product, or by the quantity. So that allows you to get a really clear picture of the true costs of your inventory. Hopefully that has answered that. The next one is, how do you handle returns? Ideally, you don't have returns, but unfortunately, these do come up. So with Advanced, you're able to facilitate the returns according to your returns material authorization. So you may need to exchange an incorrect or faulty item, or support your customer to be able to simply return the product for a refund. Whatever the situation, Advanced will track that product so that when it's returned, the receiving team can identify it as a return and match it against an RMA or invoice ahead of time. So there's some questions about the WMS. So as I mentioned, I have done a webinar on that, where I did demonstrate that using the mobile app, and you can access that on our YouTube channel. So one more question here. We always get this question. It's around pricing. So our pricing, the pricing for MYOB Advanced is subscription based. Now, I think the best would be, because it's dependent on the number of users in the system, it would be best to actually speak to our sales team, and the information will be on the screen. But you can get in touch with us, and we can take you through the pricing model and see what it would look like for your business. I don't think, I'm just looking at the time, I don't think we're going to have time for any more. For all the other questions on the line, I will get back to you individually. I'm sorry about that. But thank you very much for attending today. And now that you've seen the demonstration and you've heard from us here at Verde, you can always get in touch with us, and someone from our team will be happy to help. You can see the phone numbers on the screen right now. You can send us an email to book in a time if you want to talk to us. This session is also recorded, and we will send a copy of this recording to you. And with that, I'd just like to thank everyone that made the time to attend today. We really look forward to picking up discussions with you in the future. Thank you very much.